Hey y'all, it's your girl Jenny J. What's up? What's up? Okay, I just want to start off by saying I'm sorry. I know I didn't come through last week. It's in the first week of school and it was pretty hectic. All right, so we just gonna go right in. Okay, I ain't got no notes. We just gonna do what it does. All right. So, all right, let's start off where it is. I think it picked up this week, which was at the jail. Okay. Now, I'm gonna just try and make this as short as possible. I always say that, and I feel like I just go way into detail. So, okay, so not Jim, Wyatt and Catherine are going back and forth. Okay, he's saying, "Hey," because she's trying to ignore him. Hey, mom. You can't ignore me in here. Oh, Dad's dead. He's dead. She's like, shut up. What are you talking about? He's like, he's dead. Jim is dead. You can't hear me? And she was like, how do you know that? How could you know that he's dead? And he's like, I shot him with a shotgun. Duh. Nobody could survive that. Dummy. You forgot that it was, well, you didn't know. You didn't forget that it was a quail shot. So it packed half the punch as a regular shot, So he ain't dead. But anyway, sorry if I just spoiled that for anyone. All right. So she's like, that was your father. I can't believe you shot your father. He was like, yup. And I guess that means I hate him a little bit less than I hate you because I killed him and I left you here to rot in prison. He was like, so yeah, old witch, I hate you a little bit more than I hate Dad. And he was like, is that a tear? Are you crying? Oh, did you love him? Is that what it is? And she's just like, that was your father. I can't believe it. He's like, yep, was Jim or Jimmy Crack Corn, and I don't care. And then he goes, oh, by the way, let me know when his funeral is. That way I can come and pee on his grave. Like, he's really going in. Like, this is what people be talking about. They be saying, I ain't even gonna say it. Anyway, so she was like, oh, don't worry about that, son, because you're gonna rot here. You're not getting out of here. And he was like, oh, yeah, the two of us are gonna rot here in prison. And he's like, anything's better than living with the two of y'all. And she's like, when I get out of here, he's like, oh, you ain't getting out. And she was like, that's what you forget, son. Your mother is a very powerful woman. And he goes, oh, well, you ain't so powerful now, are you? Like, sitting behind the bars. And she's like, that's the thing with people with power. A lot of the time, they don't look like they have it. I said, that was the line of the night, everybody. That was it. We are putting that in for the line of the night. When she said that, I was like, yes. That was it. And he was like, okay, we'll see. We'll see who got the power. We'll see. And she was like, yup. And she went from being all, sad and all that to straight face. Like, okay, well, this is the game we playing. This is what we doing. I bet. I got you. All right. So let's go over to Benny. Okay, now remember 2 weeks ago, I told you I looked like a basement and Benny was locked up down there. All right, so now this week, Benny down in the basement like he was last week too. Okay, but I didn't review that, so we ain't going to talk too much about it. But I'll reference back and forth. So, all right. Benny, the dude comes downstairs, wakes Benny up. Are you hungry? You hungry? No, I don't want nothing. He's like, you gotta eat. He's like, man, I need to get out of here. My mom is gonna be worried about me. Oh, so you a mama's boy? And he's like, bruh, just let me the F out of here. He was like, nope. You know what I mean? He was like, and your mom ain't gonna be worried about you. And he was like, what you talking about? Like, he tried to break out of the restraints. He's like, what, you gonna do something to my mom? He was like, nah, we gonna call her so that she ain't worried about you. And he was like, dude, just let me out of here. He's dead. Like, the money doesn't matter at this point. And he's like, oh, no, he's not. And Benny's like, what are you talking about? Yes, he is. And he goes, no, he's not. Actually, he's doing very well. And he's like, he ain't dead? And then so he put the pieces together that it's Jim. So he's like, we're going to call him. So meanwhile, while all this is going on, we switch over to Candace, Mitch, and Hannah. They're all trying to figure out a game plan as to how we doing this, how we doing that. They tell her, listen, we just got, we went to the dance club. The chick didn't know where he got to dance with this girl. We found her. She didn't know. A girl? A dance club? A strip club, Mitchell? And he was like, listen, Miss Hannah. She was like, no, we need to go talk to that girl. Candace is like, oh, I already did. Trust me. If she knew anything, she would have told me. She does not know where he is. And so she's like, I'm going to the police. Mitch and Candace are telling her, no, Miss Hannah, no, mama, like, you can't go to the police. That's not how the streets work. And she's like, well, you just need to give him back that money. They're both trying to tell her, which is really true. They will kill him and still take the money. Like, that's what you don't get. She was like, Candace, I'm not doing this with you. She was like, wait a minute, are y'all running game on me? Are y'all running game? And she was like, really, mama? And he was like, Miss Hannah, we are not running game on you. I promise you that. We're just telling you how the streets work. You cannot call the police. It's going to make things way worse. And she's like, oh, so y'all really think I'm not calling the police? Okay. And he's like, Miss Hannah, just give us a little bit of time. So he was like, she goes, did Jim Cryer did anything to my son? And Mitch goes, Jim? And she goes, yeah, I found Benny's name and today's date written on a piece of paper. Well, the DA told me about it at Jim's freaking house. And Candace was looking like, what? And then she goes, she goes, where is Jim being held? And Hannah's like, I don't know where he is. And then she goes, Mitch, can you find out? He goes to make a phone call, and she's telling Candace, listen, you need to give him back that money. Mama, that's not the move to make. Listen, you're going to give him back that money. We're not doing this today. Are you running game? And she's like, Mama, really? This is tired. Like, I'm not running no game on you. She's like, listen, well, you know our history. I'm sorry I have to ask these questions. And she's telling her, listen, I'm going to the police at 9:30 today if Benny is not back safe and sound, and if that money is not back in Jim's account. I'm telling him everything. And and then Candace goes, Mom, don't you think it's weird that Jim had Benny's name and today's date written down? Like, and it is, like, why would you have that documented? And he's a judge. Like, you smarter than that. It is, I didn't think about it, but it is pretty off. Like, she was like, so Mitch comes back over and goes, he's being held at St. Claude. Okay, well, let's go. Mama, where you going? She's like, I'm going with y'all. I want to talk to that mother effer too. So, all right, they're going. So, but Benny actually calls. I missed that whole thing. Benny calls, and Hannah picks up the phone, and he's like, Mom, Benny, where are you? We've been calling you all night. Where you at? I'm fine, Mom. Just let me talk to Candace. No, what's going on? What's going on? Okay, Jim is holding me, okay? But don't worry, Mama. He's holding me. Just give the phone to Candace. Candace gets on the phone, and he's like, listen, Jim is holding me until that money gets back in his account. So, I mean, the dude grabs the phone. Hello? Who is this? I'm the killer. He goes, and she goes, I'm not playing with you. You better let my brother go. Oh, boy goes, well, we're not playing with you. That money better be back in his account, or by 10 o'clock tonight, your brother is dead. And she goes, all right, I'm going to give the money back, and when I find you, you'll be dead. And they get off the phone. Now they about to go see Jim and see what his ASS is up to, okay, and how he's connected and all this, even though they know it's him. Like, you're having my son held, you have my brother held, my friend. All right, let's move on. We're going to go over to the hospital. So, all right, David and Selena are sitting in the waiting room waiting to find out about Jim. Of course, David's still trying to convince her to leave. She's like, no, I'm not leaving. Dr. Dan comes out, which David, of course, knows him. And they're talking, and he's like, how you doing, David? How you doing, Dan? How is Jim? And he goes, he's fine. It was touch and go for a while, but it looks like he's going to be okay. And so David's like, okay, great. He's like, but he is a little hyped up on morphine right now, so just give it about an hour or so. And he goes, all right, Dan. And he goes, you need to come in for a checkup, David. And he's like, okay. So then he turns to Celine, because she heard the whole thing, and goes, see, did you hear that? He's fine. Now you can leave. And she goes, I'm not leaving. I need to see him. I need to talk to him. She goes, he can hide behind all them silver gates as long as he wants to, but this is a hospital, and I'm going to see him. And so David goes, it's really not your place. Like, you really need to leave. He's like, Celine, I'm trying to help you. He goes, no, you're trying. She goes, no, you're trying to protect Jim like you always do. And he goes, why don't you? She goes, no, why don't you just leave me alone? Because then he tells her, well, you know you could lose this job in a second. And she goes, go ahead, take that from me. I got nothing else. Take this job from me. And she's like, I'm going to talk to Jim, so just leave me alone. He goes, okay, fine, have a seat. So we're going to just go finish with that. Dr. Dan comes back out and is like, okay, David, you could go see him. And so she stands up as well. And then David's like, Celine, now is not the time. So Dr. Danny just sides with David right away because they know each other. He goes, I'm sorry, who are you? She goes, I'm a friend of the family. He's like, well, he can only have one visit at a time, so you can leave. And she was like, well, I'll just wait because I want to see him. He's like, wait a minute, don't you work here? She goes, yep. And he's like, well, you actually need to talk to your supervisor before you see somebody in the hospital. And she's like, what? I got to do all that? I just want to see him. And she goes, so you're telling me I can't see him? He goes, no, I'm telling you, you need to follow protocol and then figure out what happens from there. And he was like, so you're going to need to do that. Talk to your supervisor. And she goes, all right, fine. And so she walks away. And then David goes, thank you, Danny. And he's like, yeah, do you need me to have her written up? And he's like, you know what? Fired would actually be better. And then Danny goes, I'll work on it. I didn't like that. It was very low of David. Like I said, once again, it just seems like he's becoming Jim's boy again from the plantation. That's why I didn't like David in season 1. He just did all of Jim's dirty work. Okay. So he goes in there. I'm going to make this short. Jim is on morphine. And he's acting a fool. And he's telling David, look, all I do is press this button. They give me as much morphine as I want. He's like, just press this button. Press this button. And he's like, Jim, are you okay? He's like, I'm fine. I'm fine. He's like, but where's my wife? Why isn't she here by the wounded husband? And he goes, she couldn't be. Why not? She's been arrested. She's been arrested. I got to get out of here. I got to get out of here. Jim, calm down, calm down. No, you know my wife. She's been pampered all her life. She cannot handle being in jail. Like, I gotta go, I gotta go. No, 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 I got it. He's like, you're gonna handle it? Okay, but who's representing her? I need to talk to, could you call, is it Marty? Could you call? You know what, give me my phone, I'll do it. No, calm down, Jim, listen, where were you shot? In the fireplace? No, 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 no. Where on your body were you shot? Oh, my shoulder. And he laughing it off. He's like, listen, you're very lucky to be alive. He was like, I make my own luck. That shotgun was full of quail, and he didn't even bother to check. But he meant to kill me. My flesh and blood meant to kill me. And Dave was like, yeah, I know. And he's like, do you want me to do anything about Wyatt being in jail? And he's like, you know what? Yeah. And then he goes, you know what? No, let him sit there for a while. Let him just sit there and think about what he's done. And then before David's about to leave, he goes, just press the button, David. Just press the button. He's just acting dumb. And he's like, thank you, David. Thanks. He leave. All right. So now, let's go over to Charles. So no, we're not gonna start there. All right. So actually, Charles goes for a run. He comes back and Oliver tells him, sir, the story about, Candace Young and all that, everything's going great. Like, she looks like the freaking hateful witch and you look like a hero. And so he's like, I just told you I came from a run and cleared my head, and you gonna say something like that to me? And he gonna say, where's Landon? He goes, sir, you fired him. He's like, yeah, I know. He didn't train you. Like, you don't know how, like, things to be done. And he's like, yes, sir. And he goes, so where is Landon? He's like, he's in the bureau talking to some of the colleagues. And he goes, well, could you get him in here? I need to talk to him. Yes, sir. How long? It'll be right away, sir. Landon comes in. He tells him, listen, you didn't train him too well, and I need you to stay until we find somebody to take your position. Is that okay? Yep. Hands him a newspaper with Candace on it. He's like, what is wrong with y'all? Why y'all keep trying to get me to read stuff about her? And he's like, no, sir, you'll want to read this. And he reads it because it says something about Candace Young is more than meets the eye or something. And he's like, wait a minute. This is making her look like a victim. It's making her look sympathetic. And he goes, yes, sir. And he goes, you did this? He's like, yes, sir. I had a few favors that were owed to me. Oliver. Yes, sir. Comes in. Okay, you made me trash the witch, and then now he's got her looking like a victim. I'm looking crazy out here. What y'all got going on? He's like, sir, the whole point was that you discredit her and get as far away from her as possible. Here go Landon. I disagree, sir. I think you love her, and this makes her look more appealing to the public eye. Okay, he's like, I don't know, but the two of y'all need to get y'all stuff together. Yes, sir. That's all. Okay, so they're both about to leave. No. Landon, I still need to talk to you. Oliver, that's all. And Oliver gives a look like, dang, this motherfucker about to come in and take his position back, pretty much. Because remember, Oliver kind of took his position. So he goes, thanks, Landon. He's like, it's nice to have you back on board. And he goes, all right, sir. Because initially he said, we only want you till I find a replacement. Now I'm thinking, does Landon have his job back? Like, what's going on? So, all right, we're just going to finish with him. Senator Connolly comes back over, our boy Jeffrey Owens. Jeffrey Owens, now he into some dirt now, having an affair, got a whole son by this one. Anyway, so he come in, he like, what's up? What you call me over here for? In a playful way. And he's like, I called you 2 hours ago, man. He's like, yeah, but you said you was out running. He was like, yeah, the point was I wanted you to come for a run with me. He's like, man, my knees is bad. You know I don't do no running. He go over there to get a drink. He's like, listen, I need to talk to you about Candace. He goes, okay, what about her? I'm going to sum it up to say, he said, I'm really in love with this girl. And because Senator Connolly was trying to say, listen, is it the intercourse? She got you whipped. Like, is that what it is? She trying new stuff out. And he's like, Connolly. And he's like, no, Charles, don't be so conservative. He's like, knew everything. Okay. She was spicing it up, but that's not it. He's like, I'm really in love with this girl and I can't get her off my mind. And he's like, listen, I think you need to stay as far away from that girl as possible. He goes, I knew you was going to say that. He said, then what you call me over here for? And he goes, you my trusted advisor and my friend. And he leaves. That's pretty much how that scene went. All right. Now let's go back over to the hospital. So, but this actually happened before. I don't know. Dave was in the waiting room. And Jeffrey came by. Yeah, this did happen before. Jeffrey came by and was about to leave, and David told him, like, listen, son, I don't want you to go to the house. I want you to go to the Artesian because, your mom is crazy and all this, and the house looks like a mess. He's like, Dad, the cops told me that they want us to meet with us in the morning to talk to them. And he's like, no, I don't want you talking to them. And he's like, Dad, I want to. Like, I'm ready to give Mom a run for her mother effing money. So, He's like, listen, I just want you to go to the Artesian tonight, okay? He's like, no, didn't you? He sent some armed guards over there. So he's like, I'll just go over to the house. You have protection anywhere. I'll go over there. So he's about to leave, and Celine goes, Jeffrey. And he goes, oh, snap, Celine. And they hug. And she's like, you were always such a nice young man. And he goes, thank you. I got to run, but you have a good one. And he's walking off, and then Madison and him meet. And he's like, oh, you leaving? Yup, I'm about to go home and go to sleep. Because, you know, Madison been at work all night. He had to take back the graveyard shift after David let him go. Which, by the way, wasn't David supposed to hire him back? Like, what's going on with that? So, anyway, Jeffrey's like, oh, do you live anywhere near my dad's house? And he goes, no. Like, that's Richville. I don't live nowhere near there. And he's like, why? You need a ride? And so he's like, no, if it's not on your way. He's like, I don't mind. He's like, no, I know you've been working all night. He's like, Jeffrey, I really don't mind. Like, you know, he in love with Jeffrey or like him a lot, whatever. And he's like, all right, well, thank you. So they leave. Justin is over in the cut. And by the way, Madison, when did he get... Hey, y'all. Once again, the camera cut off. So we're just going to go forward. All right. Jeffrey and Madison leave the hospital. Then you see Justin in the cut looking at them. Like, oh, this is what we doing? Because remember, he got all jealous and was like, oh, so y'all seen each other? Because see, everybody was saying he transferred his affections for Jeffrey onto Madison. I was like, nah, Jeffrey's not around. So he just took the next best thing. So he's upset about that. David comes up behind him and is like, I see the way you're looking at them. And whatever you're thinking, think again. Because that's not going to happen. And, so David was like, so Justin was talking about, you don't know what I'm thinking. He said, listen, I know you've been through a lot. He said, listen, mind your business. All right. He's like, that's the problem with your family. Y'all are so full of threats. Because he's like, you come near my son again, I'll be very resourceful. And he was like, that's the problem with your family. You're so full of threats. You can't hurt me. I got nothing to lose. And he's like, well, all right. Once again, like I said, come near my son again, I'll think of something. And he was like, all right, piss off. So then he walked off. Keisha was telling him, the nurse Keisha was like, listen, sir, you're going to have a lot of pain. Da, da, da. He said, listen, just leave me alone. All right. I think he was trying to catch up with Jeffrey and Madison. He left out. Now let's go over to Veronica's house. D.A. George shows up at the door. All right. He want to know, listen, which, are you going to help us build this case against Catherine? We know she shot Jennifer Salas, and what do you know about it? She goes, well, I know everything. I know every little detail. And he goes, oh, you care to share? She said, no. And he's like, well, because he's really trying to get under her skin now. So he's like, well, Jennifer had an affair with David. And then she went from, well, is that what they're saying now? And he's like, well, no proof of it, but it was a rumor. She goes, well, that's what they do in this town. They spread rumors. And so he goes, so you're not going to help us? She goes, no, I'm not. And because she goes, now, why would I do that? No, he goes, you're not going to help us? She goes, this black crack? He said, what? She said, no, it doesn't. And I won't be helping you. He said, are you sure? She goes, yeah. He goes, one day this arrogance that you have is going to catch up to you. And she says to him, well, I hope I look fabulous when it does. And she was like, well, now, if you'll excuse me, your presence is making me want some shrimp fried rice. So you need to go. And he was like, you are a racist witch. And she was like, well, I'm just trying to level the playing field. And he's like, now, what if I said to you, if you want some fried chicken and watermelon? I was over it. And she was like, well, I'd love it. And he said, well, I wouldn't say that to you because I'm not racist. And so she goes, listen, just get out. She was like, and I love all that stuff. She's like, I like fried chicken, waffles, watermelon. She's like, I don't got it in my house, but I love it. We're over her. So I think she knows, like, even though Catherine is locked up, let me not play with this witch too much. Because last week, remember, they had that little match. But still, let me not go against her all the way. All right, so now, they're Landon, since he kind of got his job back, they're sitting in his office. Oliver's in there too. Landon is trying to get Candace to return his phone calls because he's telling her, listen, we could spin this. I need you to do an interview. Oliver is on the phone with a senator, and Landon gets off the phone, and so does he. He goes, what was that? And he was like, the senator wants to meet the president-elect. And Landon goes, that's not going to happen. And he goes, I really think that he should. And he's like, well, it's not going to happen. And, he's like, I know you used to intern for him. He goes, yeah, I did. He's like, does your family owe him something? He's like, no, we don't owe him anything. I just thought it was a good idea. He's like, well, call him and tell him that it's not going to happen. And Oliver goes, what's wrong with you? Is the Candace story not working? And he goes, let me find out that you're working against me, Oliver. Let me just find out. And he was like, actually, I'll call the senator and tell him it's not going to happen. And so he's like, I'm not working against you. And then when Landon walks away, he just looks very menacing. Like something is going on with that. What it is, we don't freaking know. But something is something in the milk. What they say, something in the milk ain't clean. Something in the water ain't clean. Something like that. Okay? Look. Oliver's definitely working against. Okay. So they get to the freaking hospital. Alright, they go to the hospital. And what I mean by they is Hannah, Candace, and Mitch get to the hospital. Now, they want to go right in and talk to him. They got a guard on the door. Because remember, David was like, I'm going to get you some security. Or Danny said, I'm going to get some security on the door. The doctor. So they're like, excuse me. He's like, ma'am, we can't let you in here. She's like, listen, I'm going in there. I need to talk to him. He's like, ma'am, it's not going to happen. So she steps back and Candace goes, Mitch, can you handle that? And he goes, excuse me, my man. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? He's like, excuse me, my man. You know Rose Malone? He said, everybody knows Rose Malone. He's like, yeah, well, that's my grandmother. Now, listen, she going in the room. So you just might want to step to the side. All right, bro? I mean, we cool, right? He's like, oh, yeah, for sure. He stepped right to the other side. Period. To the side. Okay, to the left. They go in there. Candace slaps him immediately, like on sight. Jim has not changed a bit. He's still the dirtbag that he was. He's telling them, listen, I want my money. And until then, your brother gonna sit right there. And if it takes too long, he's gonna be killed. Okay? So she's like, listen, we're gonna give the money back. We're gonna give the money back. Candace ends up leaving out the mother effing room. She's like, Candace, where are you going? Candace is gonna try and find a way that she don't have to give back that money. But Jim actually calls the mother effer and says, kill him. And Hannah is like, so the next week we see he's playing with her like, oh, call me Mr. Jim, all this stuff. I cannot freaking believe him. I don't remember if I talked about this in my last half, but Connolly comes over and Senator Connolly comes over and is trying to talk to Charles about how being in love with Candace is not a good idea. And well, actually he tells him, listen, you need to let that girl go, because he calls him over to talk to him. And he's like, what'd you call me over here for? He's like, listen, I need your advice. And he's like, it's about Candace. He goes, okay. He goes, pretty much, I think I'm in love with her. And I don't know what to do. I can't get her off my mind. Connolly tells him the same thing he did before. Leave the witch alone. Okay? Just flat out. Okay? He goes, I knew you were going to say that, but I just had to ask you anyway because you're my friend. So he leaves. Now, I wonder if, because remember, didn't they say something about he's wanting to be, what is it, the Secretary of State or something? He might want that position. I don't know, but I'm glad to see Jeffrey Owens in the fold. It's really good to see him. I feel like I missed a lot, but we're still going to wrap it up here. And hopefully, you guys, I will be back next week. I just want to thank you guys so much for rocking with me and tuning in through my inconsistency. I hate to be inconsistent, but this is my show. This is our show, so I tried to deliver something. Okay, you guys, I think I'm going to leave it there. If I missed anything, please leave it down in the comments. It is the one and only your Go J to J. Peace.